Alright, hello everyone and welcome to today's Gems of War video. In this video I have for you my scouting report for Whitehelm Week, which will begin on May 27th, 2024. You can see Whitehelm right there, kind of west to the center of the northeast quadrant of the map. If you know where Broken Spire is, just look northeast and you should see it right away. Over in the underworld, you see Hall of Guardians, kind of in relatively the same place, maybe looking a little bit further east than Whitehelm. But yeah, that is the faction for Whitehelm. So let's talk about both of them as we get started with this video. Whitehelm is an air kingdom, and its skill point bonus is armor. It drops the Arcane Summer Trade Stone during Explore, which is only available here. In fact, it is the pure yellow one. So Whitehelm does tend to be the place to go when you're grinding the other yellow trade stones as well. So keep that in mind before Whitehelm Week begins. If you are doing a lot of significant effort to grind yellow trade stones, you might want to do it now. So Whitehelm is going to go to a maximum power of 30, which is the highest maximum power in the game. It is either going to go there at the start of this week, or it will get there based on the strength of the Kingdom Pass, which will have started the week before. As I record this video, I have not actually seen the Kingdom Pass, so I'm not sure whether that's something that can happen or not. But for now, let's just assume Whitehelm is going to get to level 30, because it will be level 30 one way or the other at the start of Whitehelm Week. So the hero class for Whitehelm is Priest, and it is the only class that makes your hero a divine. The Priest class, in my opinion, is really good for early or low-level players. Once you get really good in this game, Priest class is typically going to hold you back, and so you will probably stop using it pretty quickly. So, if you're like me, you probably used hero class until it was level 100 anyway. But for most people, I would say that you're probably going to look at Whitehelm Week and the class trials as a way to get your hero class Priest up to champion level 100, because you might not have done it anyway. Hall of Guardians restriction is yellow or brown, so no Teslas this time. It has been expanded already. The most useful troop in the Hall of Guardians drop table, in my opinion, by far is the Gargoyle, which is one of the epic troops. Silent Sentinel is good too, but the Gargoyle can make a lot of things happen in Construct. So I would recommend that you make sure to get the Gargoyle, but Silent Sentinel will help you as well. Alright, let's talk about the Core 4 and 4 more teams for Whitehelm. So the Core 4 group, of course, is the Trials team, as it usually is. Topaz Giant is an epic. It creates a yellow giant gem when it takes skull damage and reduces damage from skulls by 50%. That's why that's why I would recommend putting the Topaz Giant at the front of the lineup. Does damage to one enemy and converts 5 purple gems to yellow giant gems. This can backfire occasionally, but and if you don't want to use it, then just charge up the Topaz Giant and just let him sit there. The next one is the Paladin, which you'll get from the gold chest since he is rare. He does damage to an enemy boosted by his armor at a 1-to-1 ratio. He also gives you bonus yellow mana for yellow gem matches, and recovers 1 armor at the start of each turn. So Paladin can give you a pretty good boost. The only downside to this spell is it only does damage to 1 enemy, but if he has a lot of armor, he can do quite a bit of extra damage. the High Paladin, which is a bit of an upgrade over the regular Paladin, I guess. Uh, Reduces damage from skulls by 40%. He deals damage to the 2 strongest enemies boosted by his armor. Good thing is it's going to attack 2 enemies. Downside is it's a 2-to-1 ratio, so his armor right here is 94, so you'd have to divide that by 2, and that would be the boost that he would get. So that'd be 47. So yeah, it is. I think the Paladin is a little bit better, in my opinion, than the High Paladin. But particularly since you can aim the Paladin, this one will automatically target the 2 strongest enemies. And then we're going to wrap up this group with the Priestess of Light, which is another rare troop, so you'll probably get her in the gold chests as well. She summons the Light Storm at the start of battle. I believe the Topaz Giant will do that as well. And she destroys a column and bears a random ally and gives them armor boosted by yellow gems destroyed. Overall, I really would prefer to use the regular Priestess, which we can't do in terms of the Trials team. The Priestess cleanses an ally, gives them armor, and then barriers them. And but yes, this is by far the better Priestess of Whitehelm, in my opinion. Priestess of Light will you're barriering a random ally and giving them armor, which is great if you're giving them it's awesome if you're giving the barrier and the armor to the Paladin. It's okay if you're giving it to the High Paladin as well. So if you're giving it to the Topaz Giant, and if she's giving the barrier to herself, then what can you do? But yeah, this is the team. Mostly you're going to be getting the damage done with your Paladin and High Paladin. If you just want to charge up your Topaz Giant and just let him sit up there until he finally gets taken apart piece by piece, then that's one way to do it, I suppose. So the 4 more, there's actually a lot of really good troops in Whitehelm that are valuable in a lot of different teams. Let's start off with the Sister Superior. Sister Superior is a rare troop, so you will get her eventually by opening gold chests. There's a lot of really good common and rare troops in Whitehelm. She is empowered, so she starts the battle with full mana, and her spell cleanses all allies, dispels and stuns demon and undead enemies, and then gains an extra turn. So obviously she doesn't necessarily have to be all the way up to level 20 or have elite levels in order to make the best use of her. This is actually pretty good in some dungeon teams, because in the dungeon you open up different trap rooms, and you can essentially use Sister Superior right away. Cleanse all allies, boom, all the death marks are gone, all the frozen's gone, stuff like that. Now keep in mind, if you're going for the dungeon, you can also get somewhat of the same usage using Mercy, because she also cleanses all allies. She also heals, transforming purple to yellow to boost the effect. There are other reasons why Sister Superior can be extremely useful, because the empowered, even though Mercy is empowered as well. I would recommend getting them both, but if you have Sister Superior, then you don't have to worry too much if you don't have Mercy. Patience is next on my list, and this is going to be relevant because of the guild event that we're going to be having in Whitehelm Week, because Patience is a God Slayer, and that does the trait does skull damage versus bosses, although that will never be relevant for the event itself. She deals damage to an enemy boosted by purple enemies, and if they're a boss, does 3 to 5 damage, which is really what is relevant for for the event. So if you already have her, that's great. You can probably pair her with the Godslayer we're going to get. Otherwise, you can just use 2 copies of the new Godslayer and you'll be just fine. Of course, I am going to say that Holy Saint Astra is a must-have. She is a base level legendary from Whitehelm. Now, she gives a 50% mana start to all human allies, which may seem a little odd, but is what it is. Some of the troops in Whitehelm are human. Tesla is a human, so she is very valuable in some Tesla teams as well. She gives 43 life and armor to all allies, which also helps Tesla. Creates a light storm, which doesn't necessarily help Tesla. Enchants all humans. Hey, it's not perfect, but this is a really good troop to get. So if you do not have her, I highly recommend that you take a look at your event keys and decide if you want to try to go for her. As for the mythics, this is going to be a little bit of a mess when it comes to deciding what to recommend as far as the mythics. If you are completing the campaign pass, which is going to end in Whitehelm Week, keep in mind that you will finish off by getting a brand new base mythic. So that may mean that you are not getting your first mythic from the Soul Forge, which you would get for these other 4. Also keep in mind, if you're going for Stellarix, that this is one of the cosmic dragons. So if you're going for Stellarix, you can assume that you'll get this dragon along the way, and that would also be a mythic checked off your list. But if I'm looking if I'm looking just at these 3 that we already have, Guard's Avatar, Labara, and the Archdeva, and I'm saying which one of these should I wait for in the Soul Forge to get as my first mythic, I think it would be close between Guard's Avatar and the Archdeva. They're both good in their own ways, but I would end up kind of slightly leaning towards Guard Avatar. Guard's Avatar does damage to all enemies boosted by armor, burns undead, and silences demon enemies. It does look like it doesn't do a whole lot, but remember, you're basically taking that armor, dividing by 2, and you're going to add that to that. So if it's 103, 103 divided by 2 and rounded down is 51. Add 51 to 21 and you get 72 to all enemies. And if you have someone on your team that gives more armor to him, then that is even more damage that you can do to all enemies. So yeah, I would go with that. If you have Archdeva, that's a pretty good troop to have as well. It is a one-time only spell though. It gives a whole lot of attack, life, and armor to one particular troop, but it and automatically fills their mana. So it can be really good for making a really good heavy attack troop at the top of your line. So yeah, either one of those would be great. Though keep in mind, if you have a dragon, you're probably in good shape, as well as if you have the new angel from the. So anyway, as far as the weapons go, for a kingdom that is going to reach to reach power 30, you're kind of you kind of need almost all of these weapons. I'm assuming we're going to get 1 or 2 more weapons, either from the Kingdom Pass or from Whitehelm Week, since we're looking at the event that we are. But keep in mind that you may need as many of these as you can if you're truly going for power 30. Guardian's Hammer does damage to an enemy boosted by Whitehelm allies. Creates 6 in yellow brown gems for each Whitehelm ally. These are the weapons I recommend getting if you are on a budget and you can't get every single one of them. Fist of Heaven is very useful. Explodes a bunch of yellow gems, grants a random status effect to all divine allies, summons a divine troop. We've seen a lot of those before. Divine Protector does damage to an enemy boosted by divine allies. Creates a mix of red and yellow gems for each divine ally. And I think that's it for those. Yes. And then the faction weapon, which I believe I've accidentally left out from Draxum Week. Sorry, Draxum. Guardian's Crown is okay. Cleanses myself, gains life and armor, moves myself to the front. It's an okay weapon. It's not a must-have though. So if you do not have the gems or the Soulforge resources to make this weapon, it's probably going to be okay. And then the class weapon is the staff of Saint Astra, which cleanses all allies and gives all allies 47 life. Again, a nice weapon to consider if you need it for the dungeons, because it can undo most of the traps that you accidentally triggered before going into an extremely hard battle. But there are other ways to get around that as well. Only one doomed weapon so far in Whitehelm, and it's the Doomed Scripture. This is a pretty good weapon. It is a weapon I would recommend that you get. It does scatter damage, and it creates a mix of yellow gems and skulls for every yellow enemy. So if you know that the other side is going to be having a lot of yellow enemies, this is a good weapon to have. But yeah, aside from that, those are the big ones. But keep in mind, if you're going for power 30, you're probably going to need as many of those as you can. There are only 8 pets available in Whitehelm so far. Monty is going to be the cosmetic pet that you're going to finish off if you have done the Kingdom Pass. Of the other ones that are useful, you have the Sacred Cubs. The Sacred Cubs are the ones that give you the Whitehelm team bonus, both the regular kind and the starry kind. The Peace Pigeon will give your team a bonus if you have 3 or more unique divines in your team, which does happen from time to time. And Tiny Dancer is the pet that you'll get for getting maximum renown from the Hall of Guardians. So if you do not have this pet, you'll get eventually. Hall of Guardians, I did complete it. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, but I did have Whitehelm at level 17 when I did it, so I did have a 75% boost to my horde. So okay, let's talk a little bit about the events that you're going to see this week. As I mentioned, we are going to have a raid boss event for the guilds. That is going to be a Whitehelm restriction, which means all your troops are going to have to come from Whitehelm. Keep in mind that Patience is a previous Godslayer that you should be able to use as part of this event. We'll be completing the Kingdom Pass, as far as I know. If it is a 2-week event, which is what I think it's going to be, this will be the end of the Kingdom Pass. It's also going to be the event of the end of the Campaign Pass. So if you're on the fence of whether you're going to get the Kingdom Pass or not, and you have seen how well you're going to do, this might be the decision time to decide whether you want to go for a paid pass or not. And on the weekend, we're going to have the Arena of Valor. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. If you want to see more of my content, consider subscribing to this channel and or following me on Twitter. In the comments below, let me know everything I got right and everything I got wrong. Let me know whether you are going in on the Kingdom Pass or have gone in on the Campaign Pass, and I'll see you in the next video.